There's kind of like two different camps of computers. There's these current generation computers that take about 20 to 40 hours to learn how to use. And they use very arcane instructions. They're very difficult. They're non-intuitive. But on a Macintosh, it's very straightforward. You grab the mouse, you drag it to where you want to be, you push the button, and you let go. You cut, paste, point, and click. It's that simple.
I'd say we want to do a lot of things like the Apple II and really get good synergy between hardware and software. And I really think of it as sort of a kind of way to liberate electrons. And 32 million times a second, we're letting a lot of electrons free to do what they want for people. And I think that's really neat.
And we found out that they're writing memos with them, and they're doing some planning and some budgeting, the things we expected. But the thing that depressed us the most and caused the most alarm was that it takes the normal person spends 20 to 40 hours simply learning how to use the computer before he can do any useful work. Now, if you had to spend 20 to 40 hours learning how to use, let's say your telephone, just to learn how to call home, and then you had to spend another 10 hours learning how to call the stockbroker, and another 10 hours learning how to call the police. You know, let's hope you're not in trouble. Because someone's chasing you, you got to call the police. You're not going to spend 10 hours doing that. You're going to throw the telephone off your desk. So the challenge in coming up with this great product called Macintosh is coming out with a product that people can really understand quickly, that they don't have to spend this 20 to 40 hours learning how to use it. And that's the magic behind the product.
For me, it's about 3 years of my life working really hard to perfect each part. I think it was really a challenge for me to do in 50 integrated circuits what a lot of people have taken hundreds and hundreds of chips. The Mac logic board has about 1/6 the components of an IBM personal computer, and it actually draws about 25% the power of an IBM personal computer logic board. And for me, that was really a challenge.
If only businessmen can afford something, it makes it kind of sterile. If it can get into the hands of artists and musicians and 12-year-old kids, that's what really excites us. So we kind of set up, Lisa set a standard, something. It blew my mind when I saw it. God, this is incredibly great and easy to use, but it was a little too expensive. And so we set out to capture the greatness of Lisa in something affordable to individuals rather than corporations.
I think of myself as a cross between an artist and an inventor. The medium that I use to do my art with is this programming stuff that's like a modeling clay. When I make changes to a program, I try to create something, and then I have to sort of try it out on people. Oftentimes, some of the things that I think are very intuitive end up being difficult for people to understand. I have to go back and work with the medium a lot more. MacPaint has been through 12 major rewrites, and each time I've managed to make it simpler and more powerful at the same time. And I think just going back and being willing to try it out on a lot of people and really be honest about what things are hard to do and what things can match the way people think about it, and having a good rapport with the people that'll be using it, that's what really makes a program easy to understand.
What we do is we create a new synthesis of technologies that isn't necessarily partitioned in an orthogonal way.
I've often seen the hardware and software guys fight with each other in terms of, usually there's a lot of trade-offs. You can put more capability in the hardware to save a little time for the software, or vice versa. Since both Burrell and I were inspired by the amazing Apple II, where, sort of one person did both the hardware and the software, and we're such a fan of the Apple II, I didn't mind if it would save a buck on the board. The software would stand on its head to make the computer cheap, and so it's affordable to all the people out there. And we do some pretty crazy things to sort of achieve low-cost hardware. And this, in our case, the software doesn't mind, because we had a common goal. Rather than, trying to further our careers or anything, we were just trying to make something incredibly great. and I think we did.
If you're an artist and you're skilled with media, this is a new medium that offers great control, turning off. There's 1,000 little dots in ½ an inch, and you have the capacity, either real or magnified, to turn off and on each one of those dots. So in a screen that's fairly big, or a piece of paper 8.5 by 11, you've just got so many scads of dots. There's nothing really that you can't present on that screen. All you do to print, unlike most computers where you hit a control key and a print key sequence, you just hit one button. It says print, and it prints. And you can actually Bill-mate it so you can watch on the screen the whole document gradually being printed and follow your progress. It's pretty nifty.
How can we unlock your creative potential while you're sitting at your desk? How can you come up with great ideas? How can you look at problems in new ways? And we think a product like a Macintosh will allow you to make these new discoveries and these new ahas. And that's what the potential that we see. And that's why we think the balance of power can really shift from companies running people to people running companies. And that's what part of what Macintosh is all about.
I expect to be totally amazed at what people are going to do with Macintosh. Every person, a unique individual, brings something to the machine, just as the machine brings something to them. And the interaction between the two makes amazing things happen. And I expect people to use Macintoshes to totally blow my mind 2 years out. The incredible energy that's going to be put into it is really going to do some amazing things.
What I find really nice about the mouse is not that it lets me work faster, which it does, but that it allows the quality of my interaction to be a lot greater. Instead of the mechanics of getting up and over and down and then getting to the place I want to be, I just quietly move the mouse and I can concentrate on what I'm going to say when I get there. And that the quietness of interaction in my head is what is really valuable about the mouse to me.
Everyone I know could benefit from a Macintosh. I guess everyone likes to draw in some way or another. Everyone likes the games. Everyone has to write memos. I think the ability to put together and mix the text and the graphics and the spreadsheet stuff sort of lets the different applications play off each other and create a whole that's much greater than the sum of its parts.
Part of my job is to stand up in front of people and talk about Macintosh. But it's not until we sit down and we turn on the Macintosh and then they put their hand on the mouse and try it themselves that they really see the difference between a Macintosh and a current generation personal computer. So if a person's interested at all, they owe it to themselves to go to a computer store and see for themselves the difference. It's that simple.